You know what? I think we can get started out of interest of your agendas. So let me start by introducing myself. My name is Alfonso. Please call me Poncho. I'm from Mexico City, but I'm located in Portugal, Lisbon. I'm part of the DevNet organization. I'm a developer advocate. And I want to share with you a very interesting topic. It's going to be very, very practical. It's about crafting Grafana dashboards for your RADKit environments in a very, very practical, containerized way, which I'm pretty certain that it's going to be useful for you. So at the end of the day, I want you to learn how to craft these dashboards, like old architecture. And please feel free to download this project. It's an open project. You can clone it in your environment and just build with it your very own use cases, right? So just the mention here, I take very seriously the WebEx chat. So please, if you have any questions, if you want to carry on with the conversation afterwards, please ping me on the available WebEx chat. And I will be more than happy to send you stuff, answer any questions that you may have, okay? So the agenda, very briefly. We're going to get into context of what RADKit is, what RADKit does, if any of you here is not that familiar with it. We're going to see why integrating it with Grafana just makes sense. We're going to have a look at the architecture of this project. We're going to be crafting live the dashboards here. I prayed to the gods of the live demos, so I hope that they bless me today with all of you. And we're going to wrap it up with some key takeaways, lessons learned, all that stuff, right? So, just to put into context, we're going to have those dashboards in place with Grafana, some AI assistance on the side. It will make sense later. I'll show you why. We're not going to go deep in detail into RADKit per se, right? So if you're interested in that, I can share with you info later. But well, just for you to be, all of us to be on the same channel, okay? Now, I'm really forced to make you this question. Please raise your hand here who has used or actually has a deployment of RADKit, like in your environments. Like who is savvy with RADKit? It's just two people.
Does walking lab count?
Yes, it counts. Perfect. Now, I'm going to brief you into what RADKit is, what RADKit does, and why it's so powerful, and also so underestimated, if you ask me personally. I'm here to demystify all of that, okay? So, RADKit at a glance. We are going to have a service, RADKit service, in your own premises, you as customers. This RADKit service has your devices, your network onboarded. We have there how to reach out to each of your devices, all the different credentials, protocols. This service knows how to speak properly and fluently with any of the devices that you have onboarded. And then on the other side, we have a client. The purpose of this client is to be able to connect to your service and do mostly remote access into your devices seamlessly. Why is this seamlessly? Because we have in the middle our very own RADKit cloud. In this cloud, we're going to have both instances authenticated. Once this is done, we enable the remote access flawlessly from there to here. And we can do all sorts of things, right? Just connect with any protocol that we have onboarded and get some evidences of what's going on. Which evidences? What am I talking about on that other side of the screen? You can see there that it's a tech support engineer. Who here has raised tech cases recently? Just raise your hand. Lots of people, yes. Okay. Maybe if you remember a little bit, when you raise a tech case, you get a follow-up email. And this email is asking you, hey, if you have Cisco RADKit service, please share with us the small code. You must have received that email because it's part of our tech process, right, of troubleshooting. Because in that way, instead of having, like a meeting, a live meeting with your tech engineer, like, hey, allow me to control your computer, get into the terminal, shoot all my commands, then take the logs, put them on the as our attachments on our case, and then I will troubleshoot later. When we have this RADKit access enabled, the engineer just goes straight away into your network. It's like, hey, I'm going to plug in here. I'm going to use Python SDK. There's a very, very powerful Python SDK for this. Or I'm going to use a console. And I'm going to get all the things that I need to troubleshoot your issue, right? To determine why everything is on fire on your end. I'm going to do my thing. I'm going to attach those there in your case. That's it, right? So next time, hopefully not soon enough, right? But next time that you have to raise a attack case, you're going to get that email being asked for your RADKit service ID, if any, right? But then what I want to demystify here is Cisco RADKit can do so much more than remote access for attack troubleshooting. It turns out that RADKit has a very powerful Python SDK. And I personally feel that it's super underestimated. Just imagine that we have that access, that control of remote access to your network, and we're not doing things with it, right? So there's lots of use cases that we can leverage with this, and that's what I'm going to talk about right now. We can take that information, like whatever command, whatever piece of data we need from our onboarded devices, bring it into a different system using the Python SDK of RADKit, and do things with it. Run analysis of evolution over the time. We're going to do it in this case on a visual way using Grafana. Somebody here has worked with Grafana in the past for any given project. Wow, nice. I like that. So I'm pretty certain that these use cases are going to ring the bell better for all of you. We're going to do the following. These are our objectives, right? The what, how, and when. We are going to get information from our RADKit inventory. We're going to get current configurations in the moment we ask for them. We're going to do that by displaying our inventory. We're going to display configurations of interest and configurations in a time series based. I want to get two things for this use case. Current configurations here and now, but also evolution of something that I need over the time. So we're going to have those two things. Current configs, time series-based configs, okay? Remember that. It's very, very important. But now let's jump into this. What's going to be the architecture? How are we going to be modeling it? Two entities, basically. It's going to be the RADKit service, which is living in the RADKit cloud. And then we have our own framework, which is based on the Python SDK, but also with Grafana. We need to do a couple of things first. You know, RADKit takes the security and authentication very, very seriously. I'm going to show you this later. But basically, to enable the SDK to talk to our service, we need to enable some sort of authentication. So for the two people there that have used RADKit in the past, you remember that when you log in, you are prompted for a special screen. And you cannot do anything unless you authenticate on that screen. And you need to have a user, remote user, and that user needs to have permissions to do things in your network, okay? We want this to be seamless, so we're not going to be authenticating every single time that we do a request. We're going to create some security certificates. We can do that with the Python SDK. Once we have this access, what we're going to do next is to enable the rest of the architecture. As you can see here, we're going to have a Docker Compose with this Dockerized architecture. The first module is our Fast API middleware. This is a middleware. We're going to have API endpoints for very specific things. These things are going to go back to our RADKit service and do requests, right? For example, give me the interfaces of this device. Give me the VLANs of this device. Give me, I don't know, the BGP status, whatever, right? These CLI commands are going to fly from here to there, and I'm going to get that information. Then the next thing that we're going to do is to take that information, crunch it, do some parsing in there. I'm going to show you how. It's very simple, very practical. And we're going to consume it with another container there that is based, that it's a Grafana dashboard, right? Everything is containerized. It's going to be there, nice and pretty. We're going to take this data already crunched, already manipulated. We'll send it there and render it nice and pretty in our Grafana dashboards. But there's more. We're going to do much more things here. We're going to have an InfluxDB here, an Influx database. This is a time series database. And we're going to have special endpoints here, API endpoints, to capture records. Capture points in time of the configurations that I want to check, that I want to evaluate how they evolved on the time. We're going to be keeping those small points, those small points in time with a timestamp there in our InfluxDB. And then we're going to consume that with Flux queries in our Grafana dashboard. And last but not least, I want these to be automatically, right? I want all of these to be executed without me checking it, without me pressing the button. So what we're going to have is a scheduled collection. We're going to have a cron job there somewhere that is going to be triggering the summoning of some of my API endpoints. So I get the data there, the data here, everything scheduled, cron jobs, nice and easy, okay? So having said that, let's roll up our sleeves a little bit and get hands-on with coding. So again, as I mentioned, all these demos are going to be live. I pray to the gods of live demos, so let's see if I'm lucky enough today.
A real risk taker.
Oh yeah, I love adrenaline. That's what I'm here for. Let me go here to my browser. By the way, this is the repository. It's completely open. You can have a look at it. You can clone it. You can contribute. You can do whatever you want. This is the RADKit to Grafana dashboard. Here we're going to have all the instructions that you need, all the information. Everything is here, right? We have, I'm going to skip some parts because it takes a little bit of time. But for example, to onboard my user, I have a remote user in my RADKit. I need to onboard it to get my security certificates. And those are going to be mounted as a volume in my Docker containers, right, in my Docker Compose. To do that, I'm giving you for free a script here using the Python SDK. I will not run it now, but I invite you to check the documentation later. Super simple, super easy. You get these identities, like these security certificates, and you're ready to go. If your user is enabled to read configurations, to do things in the devices, it's going to fly, okay? I'll share with you the QR code later. But well, here are like some makefile targets. Everything is there. Now, what are we going to be querying? This is my lab here. This is my RADKit service. You see here that I have my service ID. This is what we're going to use, right? All these devices are available for me to query, to get information, to do stuff. All right, let's get our hands dirty with some code. I promise that it's not much. But here, I want to show you from this repository, we start with our FastAPI middleware. This is a Python container. We are creating it with this Docker Compose, right? Here we have, I'm going to show you the services here. We have our middleware, which is a Python container, very simple with FastAPI. Then we have our Grafana container, and then we have our InfluxDB container. 3 services, 1 Docker Compose. Same network, same volumes. I want to keep things even after these containers are dead. So let's focus on the core part of this solution, which is our API endpoints. I'm going to stop here for a second. Has somebody here used FastAPI in the past? Ah, that's great. I like that. This is going to ring the bell a lot. We are going to, first of all, I won't show it here, but I invite you to have a look at the code. The moment we spin up our FastAPI container, we authenticate our local, our container, with our RADKit service using the security certificates. This connection is continuous, right? You will find there the code to do that, but it's completely continuous. If I add here a new endpoint and I refresh, it's going to be applied immediately. So we bring down the connection, we put it on again, and then the API endpoints are ready. So I won't have to rebuild my container, stop FastAPI, bring it on again. It's pretty cool. And it's going to help us a lot in this demo. So what do we have here? We have a series of API endpoints, many GET requests, for health, for devices, and for a couple of things, right? Very simple code. For example, for getting my devices, I take my service. This is my variable from RADKit. It has an inventory. It has values. I just return the names of my devices. Let me show you how this works. This is already in place. Like this FastAPI is already working. I'm going to show it to you in my browser. I could do a curl or whatever, but it's nicer on the browser, right? I'm going to zoom in a little bit. Is it? Well, yeah, I guess you can see it, right? It's big enough. So I'm going to fire this first API endpoint, my devices. So we go there, and this is it. We get our devices there, right? These are the active devices. You saw that we had like the toggles, right? These are the active devices in my inventory. Okay, first things first. I have my devices in place. Cool. Now, let me show you something else. Let's go to this second endpoint here. I'm going to make it way bigger. Device name, execute, command, random command. What am I doing here? On my service, I'm taking this device from the inventory, and I am executing this command here, whatever that may be. In this moment, I don't care. If I send the show IP interfaces brief, a show version, I'm going to execute it here, I'm going to wait, and I'm going to return the raw result. Let's have a look at it, right? Let me go back here, and I have this endpoint. You can see that it's device, one of my devices, exec, and show IP interface brief, okay? It is working here, it is doing stuff, and then you can see this output. This is the same output that I would get from CLI, right? I open my terminal, I connect the SSH, show IP interfaces brief, I get this, right? Cool, okay. What can I do with this, right? Somebody here is fluent on regex or TextFSM. I don't want to. I don't want to do that, right? I don't want to burn my eyebrows or spend LLM tokens on filtering this with with regex, with TextFSM, and get the exact values. I don't want to do that. Having this in mind, what happens is that the RADKit SDK comes bundled with a special library called Genie. Somebody has heard about Genie before? Perfect. So
same from PyDS, right?
Exactly. It's the exact same library. What Genie allows us to do, Genie is a series of pre-configured filters. On the background, we have regex, yes, we have TextFSM. God knows what is going on in there, but we don't care, because these are specific filters for specific command outputs that depend on the type of command, the type of vendor, and the type of platform. So they're like super specific for these commands, and what they're going to give us is a beautiful, usable Python structure, a dictionary that we can actually use as programmers to do stuff, right? Let me show you how does that work. If I go back here, I'm going to close this, and then, whoa, I shouldn't have closed that, sorry. Let me go here. Okay. I have this other API endpoint. It's not exec, it's parse. It's the same command, show IP interface brief. Now I'm going to parse it using Genie. So if I go here and trigger it, you're going to wait a little bit. Like this is happening like right here, right now. Like this is a real device with real interfaces. We're getting that request. Yes, we get something much, much better. This is a dictionary. You can see here. The main key is my device name, then the secondary key is my command, and then I have these beautiful interfaces nested with all the data that I need, right? Everything is here. This is usable. I can work with this, and I don't need to burn my eyebrows or spend LLM tokens on filtering raw data. That's the key part here. But now, what am I going to do with this? What am I going to do with these Python structures? I'm going to create the dashboard. And I can tell you that for creating dashboards with Grafana, we have preferences on structure types, right? So for example, I want to get just this chunks of information, just this in a list. This key is useless for me, this key is useless for me, this key is useless for me. I don't need that, right? I just want to have these very small chunks so that my Grafana dashboards just consume them immediately. I don't need to do anything else. I can do some data processing there, like some data messaging, again, burn tokens with an LLM, and that's exactly what we're going to do. I pretend to make your lives easier by integrating. For those here who are GitHub Copilot users, I have added here a skill for your GitHub Copilot. So I'm telling it, hey, whenever you are asked to create a new fast API endpoint, you're not going to do random stuff. You're going to do the following. You're going to create this nice pattern, right? You're going to have the device name, and the config type. You're going to give me this documentation. And then what you're going to do is you're going to, let me show you. You're going to return a list, right? A list that is compliant with what Grafana is expecting, right? So I don't have to do like all this data messaging. I don't have to do it myself. GitHub Copilot is going to do it for me, and that's it, okay? I'm going to show you live how this works. Hopefully it goes well. Fingers crossed. I'm going to take something from here. I have here my cheat sheet. I'm going to ask you nicely, well, first of all, I'm going to give it a reference, which is the parsed output. Oh, well, I have it here, sorry. I'm going to take this prompt, and I'm going to show you. Please bear with me. Here, new line. Cool. Chat. I'm going to go this. I was testing, but this is live because we're brave enough to do it live. Please create an API endpoint for interfaces brief. The expected output from Genie parser is the following, and I take that expected output to help my LLM a little bit. I'm going to take all of this. Yes. Then I go here, and I take this. That's it. I just wanted to keep the interface name, IP address, status, and protocol. There we go. Okay, cool. So we'll wait for it to do its thing. You'll see it in a second. Yes. Once you create an API endpoint, it's going to have this structure. It's going to have the Genie parser expected inputs, right? And it's creating the structure there. It's doing things, extracting that data, and for my show IP interface brief, you'll see in a second what happens. There we go. I'm going to keep it. This is what we get. So my endpoint is interfaces brief, right? Show IP interfaces brief. It's taking the Genie parser here, and then it's going to give me this information, okay? So just to make it, for the sake of the demo, I'm going to take this other and this here, interface details. I'm going to update it. Well, no. We're going to do the following. Let me go here. It's saved already. That means it's deployed. I'm just going to take this part, right? And then we go into here, and we change it. So it is. I'm going to get rid of this, and we're going to put this, interfaces brief. Let's give it a moment, right? There we go. Much better, right? Looks much more prettier. So now we're going to take this and bring it into Grafana. I'm going to show you how. I have deployed, by the way, let me show you. I have deployed my Docker Compose, right? So here I have like all my containers are in place, everything is good, including my Grafana. So this is my Grafana dashboard, nice and easy, perfect. The first thing that I want to do is to create a data source, right? Here I go to my connections, data sources. I have two data sources here. One for my fast API, the other one for my InfluxDB, right? Whoa, before I forget, InfluxDB. We want to have our time series data, right? So let me show you how does that work. Before moving there, I want to ask you who here has worked with InfluxDB in the past? Perfect. That's honestly way more people than I expected. That's pretty good, honestly. But I want to just walk you through the four main pillars of InfluxDB, right? Everything is organized in buckets. Our buckets are like sorts of like tables, if so to say. If you speak SQL, this would be our equivalent of tables, right? This is our connection of records. Tags are going to be the structure of these records. It's like the structure of a table that we have the parameters and the data types. That's going to be our tags. Fields are going to be the actual content of these records, and the point is going to be the specific record with a timestamp. That's going to be, so at the end of the day, we're going to be creating points with fields and tags, and we're going to put them into buckets, okay? That's what we're going to do now. How does that look in code? Sorry. I have here one more endpoint, this one. No, not this one. Sorry. Interfaces traffic, yes. This one, it's a little bit more, oh, sorry about that. Why don't you tell me that there's no Visual Studio there? Give me 1 second. Okay, escape there. Cool. Now we see some code. Now we don't. Now we do. Awesome. We have here this endpoint, interfaces traffic. I'm getting, this is a little bit more like handcrafted. I don't have an agent for this one, sorry, but I'm getting in my interfaces information. I'm taking the rates, like in rate, out rate. I'm adding them up. And for me, that's total amount of traffic of a specific interface in a moment in time, okay? Like that is for me. That's what this means for me, okay? Now, I have that point, that traffic in time. This is what I'm going to do with it. I have a bucket, like my RADKit bucket. I'm creating a point called interface traffic. And there I have my target device, my target interface, and my total rate. This is a record with a timestamp. And for me, this is how the traffic looked like in that specific moment in time. Okay? And we're going to send that into InfluxDB. Perfect. Let's test it out. If I go here to my cheat sheet, and I do this one, interfaces traffic, it's just going to show a confirmation, not much else, right? So it's like taking all those measurements. I have 18 interfaces, so I have 18 records in this moment right here, right now. In this moment in time, all time-stamped, it's there in InfluxDB. We're going to see them later in our dashboard, okay? So having said that, one source of a data source for our fast API, another source for my InfluxDB. You can see here the URLs, right? Pointing to my fast API container, pointing to my InfluxDB container. Credentials, all the stuff is in there. I'm not going to go into detail. Let's roll up our sleeves again and create a new dashboard. First of all, I want to be able to select the device that I want to check. For that, we're going to create here a variable. So we go to variables. We go add variable. Let's add, it's going to be type query. The name is going to be device. I'm going to add here the label device as well. Oh, sorry, sticky fingers today. I need to have lunch. My data source, my RADKit Infinity, right? My fast API. Type JSON. JSON data inline. No. URL. The URL that I want is this one. Devices. Yes, here. I want to do devices. And you can see that immediately, this just happened now. I got the reply, right, from this endpoint. I'm going to go and say dashboard, save dashboard. I go back, and you can see here that I have my devices. This is live. Like if I change something in my inventory, we're going to have the changes here as well. Now we can pick a device. Cool. OK. Let's add one more dashboard here. Add visualization. For this one, let me pick here one of my favorite devices, which is this one. Cool. Perfect. I want to see the version details of this device. So I'm going to go with a table, super small table, right? And then here on, let me just zoom out a little bit. Okay. You can still see, well, like there in the back. Okay. I'm going to use this endpoint. This is where the magic happens. Bear with me. I promise it's worth of your time. My data source is this one, the fast API. I have here a get, and here I have my device version endpoint. This one, it's pretty much a show version command, and I'm going to get 4 parameters. There we go. I'm going to get chassis, OS, platform, uptime, and version, the short version of my device. And that's it. This is my table. I need to do nothing else, right? So I save it here. I go back to the dashboard, and here it is. So whenever you switch to a device, I have this nice introduction straight off the bat. Hello, my name is this. This is my platform. I've been awake, alive for all this time. Okay? Nice introduction, but now let's get much more meaningful commands here. Let's add a second visualization. This one is going to be a table as well. and same source, RADKit Infinity. And then my command is going to be different here, my URL, sorry. I'm going to get the one that we created before. Interface is brief. Yes. So I will put it here. Yeah. We wait for the magic to happen. You can see there it's very light, like this progress bar. That means that it is fetching the information. That's it. Here we have, you remember the API endpoint that GitHub Copilot created for us? It's here, right? I didn't need to move a finger because all these structures are optimized for Grafana to just pick them up. So it is all here. It is nice. Let's make it better, okay? I'm going to add some stuff in here. I'm going to add here some parsing. I'm going to add here some columns, right? Let me just copy it here. Let me show you. Well, you know what? Yeah, we can do it. I'm going to take some time. We can skip that part, right? What I want you to know, you can check it later in the repository. I can change the names of the columns. I can rearrange them. I can do anything I want with these tables, okay? If I do it manually right now, it's going to take me a lot of time. I just want you to have that idea. This is live information. This is an API call to my RADKit, getting these parameters properly formatted with the Grafana structure that I got from GitHub Copilot, right? It's just like that. I fire the URL, and that's it. I don't need to do anything else. So now I can save this dashboard, well, this visualization. I go back, and I'm just going to put it here. So now we have two pieces of information here. My interface's status and my hardware details. These are actual configurations, like real configurations right here, right now. I want something else for evolution in time. I want to use the InfluxDB one. So let's go here, visualization. This is the last one, okay? So bear with me. I go with my InfluxDB data type, as you can see there. Has somebody used Flux query language? Here. Okay, there, perfect. So, I mean, I'm like an old school SQL guy, right? So switching into Flux, it's a little bit strange, right? Because you're not under that situation of tables and joins and references and all that stuff. However, I personally think that Flux enables you to do much more things, right? It's a more flexible language, and the queries are a little bit more elegant and a little bit more straightforward. That was the language of choice for this use case. Let me show you why. I have here this Flux query. I am getting from my bucket, I'm getting on this specific time range, I'm getting the measurement, the field, and the device of all the points that I can find. I'm going to get that information and put it on my dashboard. So we go here. Here on, I put it there, and I need to refresh. Yes, there we go. I did two measures already. Like I summoned the API endpoint 2 times, so we can see here, this was at this moment in time, this was at this moment in time. Let's make it a little bit prettier, shall we? I'm going to go here and put my line style. Hold on. I always get lost here. Yeah, my placement on the right. No. Just a second. Gradient line style. I want to show you something. There we go. Yes. We're going to start by putting our different interfaces here. But this is weird, right? Like, what does this even mean? Like, this is the actual notation of my points. Total rate, device, interface. This looks ugly. Let's make it better, more practical. I'm going to go here. Let me just copy something from here. This rejects. This is a hack that I'm giving you for free. Transformations, rename, and then here I'm going to match this interface, and voila, nice and pretty. Now I have all my interfaces here. This is more readable, right? I can do much more things, right? I can change how these lines look. I can change here the unit of measurement. But for now, I'm going to leave it nice and simple, okay? I'm going to save it once again. And then go back here to my dashboard. So if I go here, we can add it there nice and easy, okay? And, whoa, sorry, back to dashboard. Let me just reset here the zoom and reload. Okay. I didn't save it, sorry. But well, you get the idea, right? I don't know what happened to this new panel. I think I didn't save it. Anyways, let me show you one that I have here. This is like how I would like it to look in the end. I'm going to switch here to another device. This one here. This is what I would like to have in the end, right? Like for the sake of time, I won't go into like the small transformations, but you can change, you can customize it as much as you want, right? The headers, you can map the values with whatever you want, right? You can see it here. If you switch to a different device, for example, this one, it's going to update here the information. Also, for example, this one doesn't have records in the last 6 hours. So I can do, for example, the last 7 days. And you can see here that I have some records, okay? This is the evolution in time. We can change this here, and also we can set up the refresh rate. I can set this dashboard to be refreshing, I don't know, every 15 minutes, every hour, so I can get these accurate views, because all these endpoints are going to be triggered the moment this is refreshed, right? So I can have that information by the minute if I want it to be like that. So having said that, let's go back into our presentation. I want to show you some last valuable piece of information. If you have a look at the repository, we have enabled a cron job mechanism that I hope you find useful. We have the YAML file in which we can schedule with which frequency all of this is going to get triggered, right? We can specify the minute, hour, day of the month, day of the week. This is just a plain YAML file. Then we have a bash script, which based on your platform type, is going to create a cron job. And this cron job is going to be triggered, and it's going to create an ephemeral container, which will trigger the fast API endpoints that I want. Maybe I want to trigger every hour the interfaces one, or the VLANs one, or the one for InfluxDB for my traffic. All of this is going to get triggered as frequently as I want, as I need. So all of this is getting refreshed again and again and again, okay? Then I just want to wrap it up, this today's session. What we saw, it's just one of many, many use cases that you can do with these dashboards, right? This was for current configs, specific ones, time series data, but you get the idea. We can do all these things with API endpoints, with Grafana, with InfluxDB. And also, the thing about this is that the configurations that we need to enable in our devices are minimal. Pretty much nothing, right? Because RADKit takes care of everything. We don't need to enable SNMP. We don't need to enable traps. We don't need to enable anything, right? RADKit is doing all of this. The tampering is minimal. The next thing is, by keeping this architecture fully containerized, flexible, we can add whatever we want, integrations, whatever. And well, use cases, up to you, right? My use case here for the time series was traffic. I'm checking the traffic, total traffic in a moment in time, but you can do whatever you want, right? It's basically, the sky is the limit. Your imagination is the limit. So now, I want to share with you that QR code. That's the open repository that we saw today. Some references here. If you want to get well seasoned with the SDK of RADKit, super powerful product, I highly recommend it. Have a look at it. Also the Genie parsers, because you can also create your own parser, right? If it doesn't exist yet. If you are very fond of a super obscure command that nobody knows, you can create a parser for it, okay? And just wait 1 second. Perfect. And I'm just going to jump straight into here. If you want to carry on with the conversation, here's my LinkedIn. Also, please have a look at the WebEx chat. I take it very seriously. And don't forget to fill your service before you exit this room. Your honest feedback really helps me a lot to make my job better, okay? That's it for right now. Now the microphone is all yours. If you have any questions, we have 6 minutes left. So whatever you want to ask, I'm all ears.
The fix stack, so Influx comes also with a graphical component, right? Chronograph, I think it's called.
Yes.
You use the Grafana in that one, that chronograph?
You can technically use the one from Influx, right? Maybe I can show it to you, although I don't remember the port. I think it's like 500 something. Let me show you but that's a very good question, by the way. I have so many things in my local host. No, I'm going to check my Docker Compose just to get that port very quickly. Please bear with me. But while I go here, I'm going to answer your question. Yes, you can. Definitely, those are beautiful graphs, right? But you want to have everything on a single pane of glass. So that's why we're using Grafana, because in Grafana we can have much other dashboards on the same pane of glass. But it's a very good comment I'm going to show you. If I go to my container of Grafana, 8086.
We don't see that screen.
Oh, darn it. I'm sorry. Like this year we're having this issue with with sharing screens and such. I don't know why. Thank you for letting me know. That is the container of InfluxDB, right? Port 8086, you'll find it in the Docker Compose file. If I go here to my buckets, you can find here my RADKit bucket. And here you can filter the information visually. For example, I have this one, I have all these ports, and I can do here submit. And if I go table, for example, yeah, you can see here the information. Actually, I'm going to recommend you to do this. To get the flux syntax, once you get it here, you go to script editor. That's your flux.
And that's what I'm asking, actually, because here you also get the flux query.
Yes, that's a very, very good observation. Thank you for that. You get the flux from here, and then you put it in Grafana. And that's it. Yeah. Any other question, folks?
Why not gRPC, Telegraph?
Yes.
It's straightforward.
Yeah, you could also do that as well. Use Telegraph. It's adding a little bit of overhead, right? Because it's like one more layer. So you can keep it like this as well. But if
one service that runs for everything, more or less.
Yeah, Telegraph is also a good option for this. You can incorporate it in the architecture, and still use the same endpoints and such. RADKit taking care of that interface with the devices. But yeah, technically you can do it as well. Anything else? Nope. Okay, let's all go for a coffee. And once again, thank you, and enjoy Cisco Live Amsterdam.